Okay, we're going to go through all of these questions. These are your homework questions, and let's get started. Okay, so 1, A, D, and F. We're going to rewrite each expression as a fraction without exponents, and then you can check it by using a calculator, and if you want to, you could even make this calculator Desmos. Okay, so this first one, 5 to the negative 3. Anytime you have a negative exponent, that means you're going to move the whole thing to the denominator with a positive exponent. So this is equal to 1 over 5 cubed. And if you want to evaluate that, that is 1 over 125. Cool. Both of these are totally acceptable answers. And if you want to do a decimal, you can also do that. That's fine. Okay. This one, right here, D, again, we've got that negative exponent here, so we're going to move the whole thing to the denominator. So this is going to be equal to 1 over negative 12 squared. Notice this negative didn't go anywhere. It's just the negative part of the exponent that got evaluated or changed because we moved it into the denominator. And then, well, we can deal with that. 2 factors of negative 12, that's like negative 12 times negative 12, that is 1 over 144. So, first answer, second answer. Okay? And then this one, we've got 2/7 to the negative 1. Okay, so here's where things get a little bit challenging, but really, if you had 2 to the negative 1, that would be the same as 1/2. If you had 1/7 to the negative 1, that would be the same as 7. And so the numerator here, the top part, is just going to end up in the denominator. And the denominator, the bottom part, is going to end up in the numerator. So this 2/7 to the negative 1 is equal to 7/2. And if you wanted to do that as a decimal, you could write 3.5. And that obviously would also be okay. Let me know if you have questions on those, and let's move on to number 2. Okay, number 2, and we're only doing A, B, and D, so we're going to get rid of that one. Rewrite each an expression of the form A to the n, so we just want to get a simplified version. Obviously here we'll have B's, but in this case, just because they're getting multiplied, this is like 8 factors of A. So if you wanted to do it the long way, which I do not encourage you do all of the time, but I do encourage that you know about, this is like we've got 8 of these, 8 factors of A, and then you're going to multiply that by, since it's a negative 3, they would be in the denominator, so it's like over A. And then, if you wanted to, you could notice like, well, I've got a bunch of A's in the numerator, I've got a bunch of A's in the denominator. You can just start simplifying them. So there's 1, 2, 3, and what are you left with? You have 5 A's. So the answer here is going to be A to the 5th. The other way that you can do this is absolutely just equal to A to the 8 plus negative 3, which is also A to the 5th. Both of those, totally fine. I just wanted to make sure you have an explanation. Okay, so B to the 6th over B squared. We didn't talk about this in class, but I gave it to you anyways because I think you can figure it out. If you have B to the 6th over B to the 2nd power, this is 6 factors of B. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 2 factors of B. And 2 of those will end up simplifying, and you are left with 4 B's, so 4 factors of B is your answer. The other thing is, notice that when we were multiplying, we ended up adding them. When we are dividing, like here, you'd literally just end up subtracting. So 6 minus 2 is the same as B to the 4th. Fun facts. Okie doke. For part D. This bit up here, we learned in class that anything to the 0 is equal to 1. So the numerator really right now is just 1. So if you want to, you can go ahead and write it right away as 1 over e to the negative 3. And then because it is a negative, this is no longer going to be in the denominator. It's going to move to the numerator. So this is going to be like e cubed over 1, which is the same as e to the third power. Let me know if you have questions on those. Okay, for question 3, and you're only doing part A here, you're going to state whether the equation is true or false, and if it is false, explain why. So right now we have 5 factors of 3 times 2 factors of 4. Is that possibly equal to 12 factors of 7? Well, let's write this all out. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factors of 3, and then we have 2 factors of 4, is that possibly equal to, with a question mark, 1, 2, 3, 7 factors of 12? And I'm going to argue that this is definitely not the same thing, because in this case, if we paired these off 1 to 1, so like there's 1, there's 1, there's 1, there's 1, there's 1, there's 1, there's 1. So we do have 7 factors here, and we have 7 factors here, but 3 is less than 12, and 4 is less than 12. So no matter what you do, this is less than what you have over here. This number is going to be way bigger, and in fact, if you evaluate with a calculator, you get that 7 factors of 12 over here is 35,831,808, which is significantly bigger than 5 factors of 3, which is 243, 2 factors of 4, which is 16, which multiplied together gets you 3,088. These are not the same number, so they are not equal. So definitely this is false. And this can be your explanation why. For number 4, it says solve. That means find a value of x that makes this true. So we're looking for some value where 3 raised to that power will get you 1 over 9. Okay, so what do I know? I know that 3 squared, 2 factors of 3, is 9. We know this. We know, and we could figure that out if we wanted. We know also that to become a denominator, so to make this into a fraction, we need a negative power. So what if we just made that 3 to the negative 2? Well, that would be 1 over 3 squared, which is 1 over 9. So in this case, x is negative 2. That's what's going to work for us. Over here, I need 5 times something is equal to 5. So just ask yourself, 5 times some number equals 5. And the only thing that will work there is it has to be a 1, which means that our 3 to the x has to be equal to 1. And as we learned in class, the only way that that happens is if x is 0, because 3 to the 0 is 1. So in this case, we want x to be 0. If x is 0, then we get 5 times 1, which is 5. And our last one. Now what we're going to do is we're just writing this in the form, and it says a times x to the n. That's just like if you have a number multiplying by in front. So some number times x to the n. So in this case, we've got 6 factors of x and another 6 factors of x. We learned in class that you could definitely just write this as 6 plus 6, and then you get x to the 12th. If you're worried about making it look like this, first of all, don't be. It's okay. But you could say 1 times x to the, oh my gosh, and that's not a 16, that's a 12. What's wrong with me? Sorry, guys. 12. That is a correct answer. Also, totally correct to just stick with x to the 12th. Totally a-okay question. Okay, so here what we have is we have 4 times 6 factors of x and 2 times 6 factors of x. So if I wanted to write this out long style, I could write 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You all know that like 4 times 2 is the same as 2 times 4. Doesn't matter what order the things come in. So everything here is getting multiplied. I was too lazy to write all of the multiplication symbols in here, but you could add them if you wanted. And so what we can do is we can do 4 and 2, multiply those to get 8. And then we have 6 factors and 6 factors. That gets us x to the 12 for 12 factors of x. And there's our answer. This last one right here, I'm going to just write down here. So C says negative 5x cubed times negative 2x to the 4th. And don't get thrown off by the parentheses here. We're just multiplying things. We're just multiplying them. So I could rewrite this part as negative 5 and then 1, 2, 3 factors of x. And I can rewrite this part as times negative 2. And I just put the parentheses there so that I don't accidentally think I'm subtracting. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 factors of x. Well, negative 5 times negative 2, that would get me 10, just because negative 5 times 2 is 10. And then I have 3 factors and 4 factors. That gets me 7 factors. So there's your answer. Let me know what questions you might have.